pre-show here on the Rants of Izzo, Spreely Media. All things Spreely. I mean, speak freely. We're speaking freely. When we can speak. When we can speak. Check. Get that cough button. Oh. Hi, kids. It's Monday here, the Rants of Izzo show on Spreely Media, and we are live in 1 minute and 25 seconds. If you are listening on an inferior platform like Rumble, YouTube, anywhere else, just know you have the first few minutes of the show, and then you don't have the show anymore. So if you want to watch the full show, you have to go to Spreely.com or rantsofizzo.com. Or you can go to Spreely.com and download the app for your phone. You can watch us in the bathtub, or you can listen to us in the car, wherever you want. This is what it is. What is that rifle that you have behind you?
It is a LaRue lower, and it is a BCM upper, AR-15.
Oh, no, it's a weapon of mass destruction?
Yeah, that one in the right hands, it sure is.
Right.
Yeah, semi-automatic. But I'll be honest with you, the M1, which is my father's from Korea. And
oh, no, that's what I was talking about, the M1. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the M1. That thing is, I'll take that over any AR-15.
I have a Winchester 3030. That's my, God forbid this shit hit the fan. That's what I'm grabbing first.
Yeah. M1's amazing, man. It was designed. We don't have time. We'll do the intro and then I'll tell you.
We can talk about that.
So M1 is
well, and you know what? Hang on. We should. You're right. We got to go now. Let's talk about it in a second. Hang on.
I'm your producer.
Sarah's gonna be pissed at that one.
Sit down, shut up, and pay attention.
Damn!
This is the Rants of Izzo Show with your host, Dominick Izzo, from porn to politics. We touch every third rail we can find. You might want to put your headphones on so your mom can't hear this. It's been called the most entertaining 60 minutes on the internet, and it starts now. Let's do this.
So if the shit hit the fan, you're gonna grab the antique to your left. Is what you're saying?
No. I have a go bag.
Okay.
And I have a secondary M1, which is modified, where it's composite on the instead of the wood. And,
see, the
mags aren't.
Should we really be talking about this? I always say that I can't stand. Like I don't know if I have firearms. I'm not one of those persons who puts it up online because I don't want the government looking into us any more than they can because it's just a big info mining shit. So I got slingshots. Maybe I've got a baseball bat. That's all the government needs you to know. It's Monday. Rants of Izzo here on Spreely Media, but considering the fact that there's a bloodbath coming,
I just did a show on this.
Okay, apparently there's so I want to play the clip that everyone is losing their mind over. We're gonna play it, talk about it. It's Monday. Why not just step into the giant horse shit? Is what it is. Thanks for all the birthday wishes of the weekend. Appreciate that, guys. By the way, let's play this.
Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. No, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. If this.
Oh, he's talking about the auto industry. Oh, I guess if you played this, let me share this.
Least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least.
Oh, this is what I guess.
For the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. So if I don't get elected, it'll be a bloodbath for the country.
He did. Now, in his defense, he did say that there were very good car companies on both sides from Charlotte. So he did.
Well done.
Listen, it's
well done.
Well, you should have seen. I did a 12-minute show on this, and I would say it's probably my best show I've ever done because I talk very little through it, and I just collect all the times the media has said the word bloodbath, and then the hypocrisy of them actually calling for riots and protests, and how they're not designed to be peaceful, and $2.5 billion worth of damage during the summer of love, and I'm just laughing at the hypocrisy.
Let's talk about this for a second because I have a legitimate question. When I saw this over the weekend, it reminded me of all the other things that Trump has been taken out of context. And it doesn't matter what it is. You're in a day and age now where all you have to say something is you can say anything and it's taken out of context. At what point, because we know there will be zero accountability ever held, what point do we... I'm all about classical conditioning, right? I'm not a father. I'm just not. But I know that if I had a stove that was scorching hot and my toddler kept going to reach their hand at it, I would eventually slap my toddler's hand so they would feel the pain and associate that with reaching out to prevent themselves from being burned. And it would create classical conditioning where they go, oh, if I go to touch this again, Dad will beat me, and then they'll grow up to be in their 20s, and then they'll finally understand, oh, shit, he was trying to protect me. It'll take some time. They'll hate me for a while. But physical violence in that context is the way to protect my toddler. At what point do we not resort to physical violence, to correcting the language of the media who is spreading lies on purpose, because we know the public are so stupid, they're going to consume just sound bites and titles and this and that. If we continue to let this go, definitions change, language change, violence will be a part of this. When do we start going online and like choking, literally, I mean, going to the MSNBC, even Fox News, I don't care where, and start choking the shit, like Bart Simpson choking these journalists until their dialogue is changed? When do we start doing that?
Never.
Wow.
So I wish I could. I mean, I could go on a diatribe and tell you.
You can. You got 45 minutes.
Well, it's
minutes.
the same reason our government. Because the fallacy is that we have the power to change it. And under the current conditions and the optimal conditions, I was watching the burn pit with those guys on there, and they made some points, and they're on the Spreely Network. If you haven't had a chance, nice plug. Did you see how I did that?
Yeah.
You can also catch Izzo all the time.
Nobody, dude, I don't even tell you. Nobody watches the show.
Nobody cares.
Nobody watches the show.
So Burn Pit, they were talking, and they said, since when has voting really truly changed the government? And it's never that. It's always, like Izzo has made the point, of violence that changes things in the course of action, whether it's war or whether it's the lack of discourse and it turns into physical protest. That ultimately turns into violent behavior. Civil rights was this way. A lot of the anti-defamation leagues and things to that effect started after abolition of slavery. You can look at the Japanese internment camps and the protests that happened in California and all up Death Valley that happened with those. So it's always something that has violence in nature that changes the course of the government, so it doesn't turn into something like a civil war or an overthrow. And that's when the government goes, okay, well, we've went too far, time to implement these policies and appease the public. And then instead of stepping on the gas, we tend to go, oh, okay, well, now we got what we wanted. So the same things with the media is that it's not about the news. It's not about accuracy. That changed during the Gulf War, the first Gulf War. They realized that this 24-hour news cycle wasn't about getting it right. It was about achieving the most amount of endorphins that they could in the human brain and the receptors that would say, oh my gosh, I got to continue to watch. It's the click phenomenon or the phone phenomenon now, but back then that was it. How do we keep them engaged? And what it was, well, let's put the news media in the field. Let's give live accounts of war, not like Vietnam where it was 2 weeks posthumous, but live, that moment. You never know what's going to happen. So they created this ambulance chase in the home. And now everybody slows down every morning, every night, and tunes in and gets those commercials. They get their Nielsen ratings. And the reason, Dom, quickly, is that the reason why this all is, and you know this is true, if you're like, okay, Matt, that's bullshit, that's a conspiracy theory. Not really. Go put on Fox, go put on CNN and MSNBC, have it on recall on your remote. It's real simple. You just push a button and then it goes to that channel. Every time there's a commercial on Fox, I want you to go check CNN and I want you to check MSNBC. And I promise you this, within a second or two, every single one of those channels will go on commercial. And the reason why is they don't want you leaving. They want you getting your particular drug from that channel. And when it's on commercial, you're less likely to stay there and wait. So you bounce back to your previous channel. Yeah. And that is why these ratings very rarely change in the media. You're never going to change it. This is an advertising scheme.
We saw this Dennis Leary when he did his stand-up. I can't remember, with the asshole song. He talked about that. He did that bit with Lee Harvey Oswald. He goes, well, you had Lee Harvey Oswald is shot by Jack Ruby live on television. Then all of a sudden, boom, they said, shit, we got to run everything live. I remember, maybe I was too young. It was not our Bud Dwyer. I don't know if I saw that, but I definitely saw it was out in Chicago. I was probably 7 or 8 years old, but I remember seeing a black guy that was being marched to a county, I don't know, it was a court case. And I remember, of course, being that young, I'll remember the events wrong, but him grabbing a bailiff's gun and saying, I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. He put it in his mouth. He pulled the trigger. We've been glued to that shit. War? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Having video of war is like the reporters, the press is the worst thing in the world for our military. Shut the fuck up, stand back, let our military do their job, because you don't want to see how the sausage is made. You like your freedom. Sorry, let them do their job. And that's that. I disagree. Well, I don't disagree. I want it done where these people are physically held accountable. Because classical conditioning works. Our senior year, we had a wrestler that was not cleaning up after sectionals. We had 6 giant mats out that had to be mopped and rolled up and taped and all this shit. And one of our seniors wasn't doing anything, so we jumped him. And in his full clothes, jeans and sweatshirts, we mat taped him ankle to shoulder so he couldn't move. He looked like a sarcophagus, a mummy. And we threw him in the shower, turned it on cold, and let him sit for 5 minutes. Classical conditioning. He knew what his job was. He went out. So I want to see these people bird boxed where their eyes are being forced opened. And it's like, dude, just slap them around a bit. I just want to see that happen. That's what I want.
But no matter what you do, most of these guys don't believe this shit that they're espousing on the national stage, number one. Look at Don Lemon. I mean, 2014, Don Lemon was a Republican. You should hear the way he talked about the inner cities and the fatherless culture and pants around their ankles.
He started in Chicago. He was on our nightly news. Him and Lester Holt, both of them.
Right. So you look at that, and they don't believe what they say. And you look how they jump. I mean, even look at Tucker Carlson. He's worked for CNN. He's worked for MSNBC. Now he's on X at Fox. I mean, these guys are just a paycheck. It comes down to this, is that once Obama stop propaganda and media stations and conglomerates from being held accountable for propaganda and allowed them without that civil recourse to be held accountable, you just opened up this rat's nest of every single thing that they say. And it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what channel you watch. It is all editorialization. There's no more eyewitness news. Remember that? Oh,
yeah, Eyewitness News, Channel 7. Yes.
Yeah, eyewitness news. You got an account. And you could discern if this person was a yokel or not. But now everything's so beautifully curtailed with flashing graphics and breaking news, and it's all official that somehow we give these guys a platform that they're somehow more knowledgeable than a person with a keyboard and a little bit of writing skill. Journalist reporting is taking over. Cable news is a thing of the past. It's not going to last. I mean, you got 2.5 million people. Who gives a shit? I mean, really, that's what we're talking about. 2.5 million. When you got Tucker Carlson, you got Crowder, guys who are pumping 11, 12, 13 million. It's not the same as it used to be.
No, and I remember
as they used to be
in the last several years, especially in the Trump cycle. I started watching for headlines for him. I started watching how headlines are coming out, and I would go, wait a second. All right, they're attacking him, so he didn't say that. But then I went, man, you got to be fair. I've defended Biden with shit that's been taken out of context, where people have spread something like, no, like the whole thing when Biden said he was running. Oh, see, he said he's running for Senate. He's not running for president. Where Joe said, I would go door to door and say, I'm Joe Biden. I'm running for Senate. And I would say, yeah, he was recalling the story of when he was doing that.
Yep.
It's not what he was saying. So I wanted to be very responsible for that too on both sides. What president was it under? Was it Reagan or Nixon, where they took away, if you reported one side, you had to report the other, and turned it in to editorial? I think it was it Nixon where they changed that, where you no longer had the Walter Cronkites?
You know what? I don't know. What I do know is that I believe that it was changed for the positive, and Obama is the one that executive ordered it out of existence. And it very well was, I believe it was Reagan that put the standards on the media. And then ultimately they were lifted by Obama. But I don't have the exact information. So that's my thoughts, but I don't know if that's true or not.
So fucking dumb. I'm so tired of this.
The reason I was late is I just got done. My wife came home for lunch. That's the first reason I was late.
What did she make?
Yeah.
Or did you make?
Well, it wasn't a baby, but after 30 seconds, I had to record my show. So did that. And that's why I was late. So the show that I just did walks through the whole thing. And it comes down to this, man. Who gives a shit? 5 minutes after I was done with the show, a headline popped up. Trump isn't able to go ahead and come up with the money for the $496 million bond. You'll never hear Bloodbath again after today.
No.
Bloodbath will never be mentioned. It's only going to be about that he failed to do the bond, because that's the news cycle. And this is where people just eat this up. And if you watch Twitter, Dom, you saw there was 100 people on Twitter. All the blue check marks from the liberal side were posting the exact same shit, just filling up feeds with Bloodbath. And I can't even go there anymore. I can't even go to Twitter. It's horrendous.